Hi everyone, and welcome back to Blame It on Marketing. And this is a special episode for Ruta and I, not only because you've just got Ruta and I, but because it's our birthday episode. Because we've decided that's a thing.
Our birthdays aren't actually on the same day, but they're on the 30th of May and on the 8th of June, so they're like a week apart. So we thought we'll do a birthday episode. And you must be thinking, what does that mean for a marketing podcast?
But we had this idea. So first of all, the first thing that we did when we were like, we're going to do a birthday episode. Maybe this is a really Gemini thing. Or am I going to that's really also I don't believe that is a thing. But anyway, whatever. I've said it now. So we bought each other marketing gifts, which is going to lead us into what we're going to talk about today. But Ruta is she's not in Spain where she normally is. Should I say where you normally live? Is that weird? Are people going to stalk you? Don't know.
I mean, if you find me in Spain, I'm really impressed.
Yeah, if you can find her, then you're welcome to stalk her, is what she's saying. So Ruta doesn't have her gift with her. But Ruta, why don't you tell everyone what I bought you for your birthday, even though you've opened it early?
Let's do it. I actually haven't even opened it. It wasn't me, but we'll get to that point. So we planned this birthday episode, I want to say like a month ago or something. Like it was a while back. And we were like, okay, let's get each other marketing birthday gifts. And I was like, okay, cool. So Emma goes and orders the present and it goes to my mum's house in London. And I was like, yep, I'll grab it when I'm there and then we'll film the episode. And a week, 10 days maybe goes by and this has completely left my mind. I don't remember the conversation we had. Life has moved on. And my mum just sends me a picture of this mug. And on the mug, it's a little Excel sheet print, design. And then it says, Ruta, freaking the sheets. And I'm looking at this mug and I'm like, and my mum's like, this is for you. And bear in mind, she's like, very cute and Eastern European, so she has no idea what the mug means or what it implies. And I'm like, who sent me this mug? This is weird. And the kicker is that Emma didn't put a note in it, and she bought it. You bought it from Etsy, I think, and the sender put his name on the send tag, and it was some guy called Peter, and I was like, why is there a man called Peter sending me an Excel freak in the sheets mug? I don't understand. So then I'm like, is a client messing with me? They know, there's lots of clients that know I love Excel sheets, and I can see someone seeing that and being like, oh, I'll send it to Ruta. So I ask a few people and they're like, no, it wasn't me. Then I ask someone else and they're like, no, it wasn't me. And I was like, oh my God, it's Emma. Thank God. So I frantically message Emma and I'm like, did you send me this? And she's like, yeah, it's your birthday gift. And I was just like, thank God, because there could have been a man called Peter sending me a freak in the sheets Excel mug, and it'd be totally creepy. So I'm very happy, and now the mug is not only funny in itself, it has a funny story to it. So thank you, Emma. That was a great choice. I commend you.
And she is a freak in the Excel spreadsheets. I've corrected. I'm not going to say in the sheets because that's too rude. It's not. That's our other podcast, not this one. So,
coming out soon. Emma and Ruta after hours.
After a few bevies. So I have got Ruta's gift to me here, and I haven't opened it, so I'm going to open it live on the podcast because why not? Hang on. Get rid of the bag. Right. So we've got some colouring. Is this you being... This is you literally being shady, quite literally.
Yep. Yeah. It's the greatest marketing gift, colouring in pencils.
Because this is all we do. Is select the colours of things. I love it. These are really, really useful. And upcycled wood. Nice choice. And then a wine stopper. Because obviously we all have drinking problems. Is that that's what that's about?
Actually, there's a little more thought to it. So a lot of us now work remotely. So we can't go out for a glass of wine together at the end of work, which is all very civil, or at work, as we often did. And one shouldn't finish a bottle of wine by themselves in one night. So I bought Emma a little vacuum pump thing so she can save her bottles of wine for, the week potentially, and drink moderately.
That's really kind of you, because I do regularly finish a bottle of wine on my own. And now I won't have to.
I won't have to. I'm sure that's what was stopping you before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just literally didn't have anything to stop the wine going funny. I don't know what the correct term for that is. Well, thank you, Ruta. They're beautiful, beautiful gifts. And they, it's very kind of you. I'm going to really enjoy both of those. How the presents lead on to what we're going to talk about is that quite often, I'm going to make the link, is that quite often, and I know we've been talking about how much fun we are, because Ruta and I are great fun if you ever want to drink port. We're up for it. But quite often, marketing are seen as not only the sort of like fun squad, but the people who will get stuck in and do loads of other things. There's sort of like this weird expectation as marketing, because lots of us are a bit more, I don't even know that we're all like particularly extrovert, but we are potentially more confident. Could we say that? And so therefore we kind of get roped into doing all this extra stuff. So we wanted to talk about why that happens to marketers in particular, because I know most of the marketers I know end up doing this stuff, from booking meeting rooms for people to organising the lunch to being roped into like organising events, all that kind of stuff. So we wanted to talk about it. So Ruta, from your perspective, because I know you've experienced this before in roles, like where does that kind of notion that we're sort of like the fun culture squad kind of come from, do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's our own fault, and it's because we try to get people excited about stuff. So, if we're doing some marketing externally, we might do like a little internal kickoff, and we'll get food and drinks and that kind of thing, and put on like a little event. But it's all kind of in the name of marketing, and then it's like, oh yeah, marketing did this thing. Why don't they organise the entire company kickoff? That's surely marketing's job. So yeah, maybe it's our own fault for doing stuff like that. I don't know.
I think, when we did the 35k marketing manager with Megan, and we were talking about how, especially like junior marketers, like there's a bit of naive optimism. And I think it's that. I think it's like, we're like, yeah, sure. We'll do whatever you want, because we want to be seen to be helpful and all of that kind of stuff, and positive. And, quite often I actually hear quite a lot when people are trying to roll out other sort of, I don't know, like culture based stuff, like they'll often start with like a marketing function, because of the type of people that work in marketing. Very often, I think, like I said before, like maybe more confident, in some cases extrovert, or maybe just a bit more, I don't know, creative potentially than other people in other departments. And so I think that's why we get roped in. But it is problematic, right?
Yeah, especially if it becomes like the thing that marketing has to do. And we've seen it happen in small teams where you're like stacked to the rim, and then somebody like throws an event on you, and you're like, wait, like what? Like this is not part of what we're doing. Like no one even told me about this, so we could schedule it in if we wanted to.
I was just going to say, I do have this, and I know we will probably get into this later, but I do also think that actually a lot of marketing functions in businesses, a lot of marketers are women. And I do think I think partially some of this is our fault as women, but I also think it's just natural. It's the patriarchal structure of our society, I'm going to say it, that does actually then therefore
between that and Gemini, geez.
Oh, freaking! Am I going to get like someone going to like?
This is the last episode, everyone. Thank you.
Emma's on the woke bus, straight out of here. But I do think there is something in that, because I have felt it for a long time in my career. that, you know, as a female in the workplace, you do want to like be seen to be super positive and like, yes, I'm a yes person, I'm going to say yes to everything, I'm going to help everybody, because that is, you know, I want to be perceived in that way, like as being, you know, helpful. And I don't know, and I can't speak for all men out there, but I don't know that men feel that same pressure necessarily to kind of be seen to be nice and helpful in the way that women feel like that.
Yeah. And I think women care a lot about events specifically, because especially if it's something, whether it's like business related, so you're going to a conference or something, or it's like internal related culture wise, I think we feel like it's really important for people to feel included, to have a good time, to make sure there's enough food, to make sure everyone knows how to get there. Like, you know, all those little details, we want to make sure that everyone's like really happy and really satisfied and has a good time, because so much work goes into it that, you know, not only do we care about other people, we want it to go smoothly. So we tend to be the ones that will then take on the grunt of the work, essentially.
Absolutely. I think it also ties into, so there's the events thing and the sort of like being part of the culture squad, and there's also this is the one that drives me absolutely fucking mad, is the swag. I just, it's like the perception that like I am just here to order the fucking t-shirts drives me insane. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of beautiful swag, like well thought out, actual marketing related swag. But if you ask me to order a load of Chili's bottles with a fucking logo on it, I'm gonna throw them at you. Like, I've gone from being super woke to being super woke to being like violent.
Yeah. I think it's all part of it, really. Woke to violent. That's the pipeline, really. Someone should put that on a t-shirt. I agree. Yeah. Swag is a difficult one, because also a lot of the time it's so boring. Like you say, it's like a label, a logo on a chili bottle or whatever. And I think, yeah, a lot of the time we do spend ordering shit that nobody really wants, which is probably part of the frustration, because why are we spending all this time and money and resource on crap that people will collect at an event and then dump in their garage for notebook day, you know?
Yeah. It's like, it's a lot of effort and energy, and then it's like, and again, it's an assumption that obviously with some of the stuff that we're talking about, like if it is really well thought out, like tactical stuff that makes sense from a marketing campaign perspective, then if you want to order swag, knock yourself out. That's great if it's part of what you're trying to actually market and there's like a bit of thought behind it. But yeah, when it's just stuff for landfill, basically, I mean, there's a whole nother issue with all of that. It eats away, like to me, it eats away at I had a job once where that basically was what I spent 6 months doing, is ordering swag for people. And I thought, I've been hired.
Oh my God.
I've been hired as a like a relatively at this point senior marketer, and you're literally getting me to order t-shirts for people. Like, complete waste of my time.
Yeah. Can I tell you my favourite swag story?
Yeah.
There's two actually, but you can tell the other one since you're in it. So it was when I was still quite junior, and we had a company kickoff, and there was about, I want to say 200 of us at it, and we made individual swag bags for everyone. So it had, you know, some standard stuff in there, and then everyone got a like company hoodie, and obviously there's loads of different sizes, so like I made sure that everyone's bag with their name tag had the right size roughly jumper in there for them. And I think I stayed till like 8 p.m. folding like 200 jumpers and putting them into the right bags. You can imagine how fun that was. And then on the day we got there to the company kickoff, and each person's bag is on their chair, and I sit down and I take my bag and I'm like, oh, fun, I folded these last night. And then the person next to me starts complaining about how it's not the same hoodie that they have in a different country of our company. And I just look at him and I'm like, dude, I spent all day yesterday folding these jumpers. Are you freaking kidding me? And he just looks at me. He's like, yep, cool. I couldn't. I was livid. I spent 8 hours on the floor folding jumpers for everyone. And fuck that, man.
That, and you know, like when you're doing the bags for people, this is one of the things as well. The amount of paper cuts that you suffer. Like,
oh
so
my
like,
God.
And your back hurts and your legs hurt. And it's like, I did not want to fold this many jumpers for people to then hear them complaining about it. It's like,
It's not the right jumper.
Get out. Get in the bin.
Fuck that. You can talk about our masterful bags that we printed without permission.
Oh yeah. So this is a real example of when actually swag is really good and useful if like you tie it into a campaign. So lots of you will know Ruta and I used to work for Clear Review, which is a performance management tech company. And we were going. I don't think they might not mind. They might not listen to us, but there'd been a few complaints about an event prior to this event where people have gone, "Our swag's just a bit boring," and like you know, the usual kind of stuff that you hear from salespeople. So we were like, "All right, okay, challenge accepted." So we were like, "How can we push this and like redesign the stand?" Redesign like our slogan and stuff so that it's like really in your face and hopefully make a big impact. So we came up with this slogan which was basically like, we are so over annual appraisals, which you might not think is that punchy, but the so also had
in the world of annual appraisals.
In the world of HR tech, that is as spicy as it gets, ladies and gents. And the O was our logo. So it was like, you know, whatever. Anyway, so we went to this event. It was a big event in Manchester, big HR conference. And like people were coming up to the stand. They were like, I need that bag. And then we heard that a very big government body had taken the bag and had this wall that was like against annual appraisals, and they pinned the bag up on the wall like a shrine. So it literally became like the slogan took on this whole. It was like almost like a HR. I was about to call it a liberation movement. That's a bit extreme, but lots of people honestly remembered. Can you imagine all these HR people being like, "That's it, we're over it. I've got it on a bag.
Over it.
I'm done."
Yeah.
But it did take on this thing like for a while, didn't it? Like we ran it for a few events, and everyone wanted one of the bags, and so therefore that was kind of like a real moment for us. We were like, "This is when it works," and like I'm okay with the fact that it was swag, and it was as part of an event.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if it was a Manchester one, but I went to another one where we had them and there was a few left at the end of the event and I was like, oh, we are not taking these home. So I just walked around asking people, are you over annual appraisals? And they're like, yes, please have a bag. Everyone loved it. It was a great time. Also, this was done over the 2 weeks that our then manager was on holiday, and I'm not sure he would have been so into the idea, but it worked out and the bags worked, so done and dusted.
Were happy as well because they were like, "Oh, we've actually got something cool." We had it on their t-shirts as well, I think. Like, but like I say,
I think so.
That is where I think the whole problem with events and campaigns and everything and swag and all these things that are sort of expected of marketing kind of come together at a point where it actually works, because it was like it was a like, if you want to call it a demand campaign, that was actually that. You know, rather than these things that were all happening in isolation of each other. Like, it actually, even though it's sort of a bit of a happy accident, how we kind of came up with it all, you know, it worked as a proper campaign. But people, I think that's the problem, is this stuff is all thought about in kind of like siloed, and then it eats into your time and all of that sort of stuff that is really, really, really annoying. So when you get asked to do an event, Ruta, like organise one, does it annoy you, or are you okay with it?
Oh man, it's been a long time. I'm trying to think what would happen now, because I'm a consultant, so like I don't do events very much at all. I think it would be fun because I haven't done one in ages. And I got involved in one briefly a couple months ago. But I think I definitely used to find it stressful because I was never from any kind of event background. Like my background was purely digital. So when I had to like call electricians to like wire up the stand, I literally had no idea, and I was like having to ask people, be like, is this normal, like what what do I need to do here? So yeah, it is very stressful, and I don't think I could ever like work in events. Like that is not a thing for me. Like even I'd even stretch to like even organizing too many like friends and family events is way too much, because you know there's always that person that shows up and they just show up and then complain about stuff, and it's like, bitch, where were you when like we were planning this, you know? So it's kind of the same thing for me in terms of like event planning on either side. What about you?
Well, as you know, I used to do it as a job, like part of a job. And I used to really, when I was a lot younger, I used to really enjoy it. But I felt like for me, it had like there's a time limit on it, because the stress is like unreal. It is probably the most thankless bit of marketing that you'll ever do, because like you say, you generally don't just deal with complaints the entire time that you're running an event. And also, you know, like some of your colleagues will be really, really helpful at an event when you're running one, and other people just don't get like what their role at an event is. And it's like, doesn't matter how well briefed people are, or, you know, like they just, I don't know, like you always get those salespeople at a stand that just stand there and you're like, I've organised all this stuff for you and you're just standing here and you're not talking to anybody. Like, I've made your job so easy and you're not capitalising on it. So now I would not, you couldn't pay me enough money to organise another event. There just isn't enough money in the world because of that. But I work with, one of my clients has an amazing events person. He's freaking awesome. And like, we have plans with the event to turn it into a campaign, to make it into a bigger thing. So everything is like this coherent, connected thing that then actually should impact our digital marketing efforts and things like that. So that makes me really excited, because you get to be at the event and feel the physical, I don't know, like vibe of everybody who's there.
Yeah.
And you're running a marketing campaign at the same time. So it's like that's a really nice feeling to do that. But yeah, I don't want to be the one organising. Thanks. Leave it in the hands of the experts, like my pal Scott. I could give him a name drop, who is really good and gets all the shit done and does not seem fazed by anything. But yeah, not for me. Thanks.
I was going to say, I think one of the things that you do learn from events is that things will always go wrong and you just kind of have to roll with it. To a point where Emma used to travel with a printer in her suitcase.
I used to have a job where I used to work overseas, and we do overseas events a lot. And I used to travel with 2 laptops, sometimes 3, a printer, and various other technical gizmos like cables and stuff like that. And every airport I think I've ever been in, people are like, because I'd always be alone as well, traveling on my own, and they'd be like, and I was quite young as well, people would be like, what is going on here? Like, the amount of bag searches I had, because they were like, why have you got all this stuff? And I was like, it's literally because when I get to the other end, and this is a really bad thing as well, made me really hate doing the job, is that I couldn't trust people to do the job properly. Because I was like, I know I will get there and there'll be no printer, and someone will be like, oh, I've left my conference pass at home, or I haven't printed my pass off so I can't get in. So yeah, it was horrible. It's like a lot.
And there you are with your printer.
I was like, don't worry, I've got a freaking printer in my hotel room. I'll print your pass off for you. Rolling my eyes. But it was always the way. And that to me was just so short-lived. I was like, I can't live my life doing this. It's like, I was very pleased to get into the more digital side of marketing, I have to say.
Agreed. So, Ems, what are some of the ways that, I guess if you're a listener who maybe isn't in marketing, that you can still ask marketing to do event stuff for you, but make it much more, cooperative and nice for both of you instead of just dumping stuff on the marketing table?
Well, I think the first thing is to understand that these things should be like a cohesive, connected campaign that complement whatever you're doing from a digital perspective. So I think as a marketer, there's a side that you need to learn to say, actually, this doesn't fit in with what we're doing right now. So that's one thing. That's for us to sort of take away and go, we're not just doing events for the sake of it because they're expensive, time consuming, all the rest of it. So there's a bit of pushback from us, but also I think, for the other colleagues who ask us to do stuff, I think I almost feel like people need to, if it's not a strictly marketing thing, so if it's not like a conference or like an event for customers or whatever, then, and it's something that's maybe more social or whatever, like I think you just need to think about why are you asking marketing? Like, are you making the assumption that we are the people that should do it? Because if you are, like, you're wrong. But think about it, because back to the point, which is about like some of the misogynistic undertones of asking female marketers to do things like book your lunch for you or book your dinner table for you.
Oof.
I like, do honestly check yourself. Like, ask your, why are you asking me over and above anyone else on the team that could potentially have the same like if you're sales especially, like, and you want to take a client out, why are you asking marketing to book that for you? I know we've got the budget. Yep. Maybe that's Agreed. Also what the problem is. We've got the money, that's why.
Yeah, we do. And we do tend to have a credit card on stash because we need to pay for stuff. If it's non business events, so it's like internal stuff, just remember that it's as much like of a favor to ask of me to do that as it is of anyone else. So maybe we have a committee of people that deal with internal event stuff and you rotate through, who can do what. That can be an option, like a social committee. I know that companies have them.
No, that's actually really sensible. The social committee thing is a real, because then you've basically got a group of people who actually want to organise that sort of stuff, who don't necessarily always get to do that sort of stuff in their day job, because elements of events and the swag thing and all of that are elements of marketing's job, and like we don't necessarily want to do it for fun. Like, it's not my idea of a good time. So I think that's really, really sensible. Really sensible suggestion, and it should work well, like you say, because it's people who genuinely want to be doing it. And if there aren't people who want to be doing it, I think there are job roles where this potentially does fall more into the remit. If there is if there is an operations function in your company, or you've got even like HR and culture, people teams, like the social aspect of some of the stuff that goes on when people are doing culture work, that's also part of that role too. It's obviously marketing will naturally end up supporting. So I think, make sure you kind of understand what it is you're asking for and why as well. Like, why? What is this event for? But I think, it's the same with the swag. It's like, obviously marketing need to check it, but we don't have to be the ones that, like, if you're a salesperson and you're going to an event the next day or whatever, like, you can also help pack the bags. That would be really nice.
Yep. Or carry them, that's great too. Or
carry them, yeah. Just carry them for us. Or take them. Yeah, take them with you. Like, don't get pissy when you have to take the pull-up banner with you on the train. I actually didn't. This is obviously back in my charity sector days, because I used to organise like those more extreme fundraising events for people, and I did this one event in Myanmar where I did a bike ride and then a trek and then a bike ride. And I had to carry in my backpack on a trek up literal mountains the like flag of the charity, the medals that everyone was wearing, and like their finishing line t-shirts for everyone. So I
Wow.
basically had no underwear left, but everyone got their medal. Like, it was horrendous. And people were like, you know, like you're on these things and you know, people were like, Emma, you're starting to stink and you haven't changed your clothes. And I remember saying to somebody, that's because I haven't got any clothes in my bag because I'm carrying your medals. And they were like, oh, yeah. So make sure you're kind to those people, you know?
I think if you're managing someone that does events, make sure you're like, you always talk about it and you don't just kind of ignore it as something that they did. You know, you actually call it out and make sure that everyone knows that someone did a good job. And I guess the best thing to do is actually to support them and to, if they ask for help, give them the help. Because even if someone enjoys something, doesn't mean that they can do it all by themselves.
I think that's a big one. I think it's that, it like most events people that I've ever worked with will always be like, yep, I can do all that. Yep, it's all fine. I can do it all on my own. And there is an element of, because it's a little bit because you feel like you can't trust other people to do stuff for you. That's a big problem. But if they ask for help and you literally need to be like, what do you want me to do? I will do whatever you want. If you want me to take the bin out or you want me to carry bags for you, whatever it is, I will literally do whatever you want. Like, no one is above like helping put up a pull-up banner or put out the books or fold the jumpers. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone, and actually what is really nice when you work with people who are genuinely enthusiastic about an event that you're doing is that when the team actually do it and everyone pitches in together and there's that real sense of like camaraderie, that is actually really good for the team. Like, it's really good for everybody to pitch in and see how hard it is. And I would sort of say, like, if there are big events and your team are being a bit rubbish and you're a senior leader, like, crack the whip out and be like, right, everyone's helping. Everyone is helping. Doesn't matter who you are, what you do, you can help. And really support that person who's organised it to like make it run smoothly, because everyone, like, I remember after the events we did Ruta, everyone's like, oh, that was amazing. Like like, you know, everyone gets a massive dopamine hit because it went well. And then it's like, okay, tomorrow we'll all crash and burn. But like, help. Just help them.
Yeah. No, agreed. And also you even got like sales teams involved in helping with events and that kind of thing, not just marketing. So I think that's a great shout. If sales are going, they should be doing stuff.
Yeah. And also, like, I think, I mean, you're a salesperson, you are there to sell, obviously, primarily, but that doesn't mean that you can't help before and after.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as a salesperson, anything you help with will only help the event and you to sell. You know, like, you might think that carrying some extra books with you is really tedious, but like, they're there for you. Like, you can use them to talk to people, you know. So yeah, they're all tools for you. So the more you can kind of get stuck in, and also, you know, if you get stuck in and you get along with the marketing people and all of that stuff, you can start to influence that stuff and you can come up with things that work and you can do, you know. So it's a win-win if you're a salesperson, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and also marketers we're not like, favoritism and bias is a thing. So if you actually help us, like, you might become a favorite, and therefore marketing might be more willing to help you out when you have, you know, when your pipeline's running a bit dry or whatever. Like, if you're kind to us, we can be kind. We can be kind back to you. Yeah, because that's also the other thing, is that most of the time it's marketing who get to then dictate who's going and who's not. Like, so if you have been kind and we know that you're helpful, we're going to be more likely to be like, yeah, actually, such and such is really good on the floor. Like, they had a really good time. They were like really chatty. They were like really good with all the guests. And and I'd have them back because they were also really helpful. So if you are that person, it's just gonna be an easier time for you. Whereas if you stand in a corner, or
Exactly.
as I saw recently, salespeople first in the buffet queue at an event. If you do that,
Oh man.
if you do that, you need to know that the marketing team have clocked you, and we are watching you.
Oh, yeah.
First in the buffet queue.
Oh yeah. P.S. If you think we're not watching you every like 3 minutes, you are wrong. We're also watching every lead that has come through afterwards. So like we know who's following up. We know who talks to people. So you're probably not going to another event. Just gonna put that out there.
Put the fear of God into them. And actually, the one thing I would say is it's not like events and networking are not necessarily a natural thing for everybody. Like even as a salesperson, like you might be there and you might feel like actually this is really alien for you. But if you yourself, even as a salesperson, or you need to meet people, you know, whatever, like you can ask your colleague, if you've got colleagues that are a little bit better at it, you can get help with that. And you can also make it a personal development thing to get better at starting conversations with people in public, face to face, because I get it's not easy for everybody to do it. So therefore it like then that whole thing about me moaning about salespeople standing around the stand looking at their phones, it might actually just be because you're really bloody uncomfortable with the situation that you find yourself in, and you're better on the phone or an email or whatever. But you know, you are there, so you've got to give it your best shot. But if you need help with it, ask someone who's good at it what to do.
Agreed. Well, wonderful. Thank you for listening, everyone. This episode was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully it listens okay between our presence and our event love. Thank you so much for listening, and we really hope to see you on the next one.